Join us as we uncover the symbols, the stories, explore the mysteries, the power, and the legacy of a kingdom that is still unfolding. This is a journey where history, prophecy, power, and people converge, and the story is still being written, from ancient kingdoms to the spaces where modern voices meet. Voices that refuse to be silenced, part of a heritage that continues to shape the present. The past is not dead, it lives, it speaks, and here we listen, we reason, we respond, and we testify. We dive into ancient truths, symbols, and signs still relevant today. The scepter has not departed, the mystery is not lost, and the kingdom, it is still unfolding, one episode at a time. This is more than a podcast, it's a return to the source. Welcome to the Scepter of Zion, where ancient truths meet modern voices. And now, to conversations, truth, and power, the scroll begins to open. And here to guide us through the gates, your trusted voice and seasoned guide, a voice for the remnant, your host, Ruben B.
Everything we do begins as a vibration, a silent code written into the subconscious. The ancients knew this. They built temples not just from stone, but from thoughts aligned with the stars, powered by intention. Today we are the temple. Every thought is a brick, every word a chisel, every action a legacy. Yep. So when you move from the unseen to the seen, from subconscious to the conscious, from dreams to discipline, you become the architect of your reality. The scroll wasn't lost, they were written in your DNA. The scepter is awareness, the throne is action. The throne is action. Right? Yep. This is the Scepter of Zion, where ancient wisdom meets modern power, where ancient wisdom meets modern voices, where thoughts become creation, and creation becomes movement, and creation becomes movement. Meet these modern voices. Welcome, 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 welcome back. Anyway, I think I last left off where Paul was shipwrecked in Malta. I think that pilot captain, either he was sipping that banana wine I had left up in, where did I leave that banana wine up? Somewhere up in Greece somewhere. Anyway, so, like I told you, the ancient name is Melita, or however you want to say it, Melita. And you can find that in Acts chapter 28, verse 1. I think you can go to verse 2 as well. Falling right there. Polynesians and the Hebrew connection. So, before Paul, this Hebrew Israelite man, this apostle of Yahshua, came to Malta. Malta was under the Polynesian colonization, 800 through 500 BCE. And the Polynesians were often trading with the Hebrew Israelites because they had established this island as a trading hub. So you ask yourself, who are these Polynesians? Well, I told you they were ancient Semitic people. Famous craftsmen, spreading their influence all over the Mediterranean. Polynesians in the Bible, they mostly refer to them through their cities. Sidon is named after the son of Canaan. Genesis 10, verse 15, you can check that out. Tyre and Sidon are known for their trading hubs. Solomon bought cedar wood from these craftsmen to build a temple there, or to build his temple, not in Malta. And that's in 1 Kings chapter 5, verse 1 through 6. You can check that out for yourself. The Polynesians developed one of the earliest alphabets, 22 letters. Now, is this the Hebrew alphabet? I'm gonna have to investigate that. So their alphabets later influenced Greek and later Latin or Rome or Italy, whatever. So they sailed as far as Spain and possibly into Britain, spreading goods like cedar, purpur glass, and tin. So after Alexander the Great destroyed Tyre, the Polynesian power faded, but their culture lived on through Carthage in North Africa. But see, Rome later conquered that in the Punic War in the 3rd and 2nd century. So Malta was under this Roman rule. Rome established it as a naval outpost. So Malta became a part of a Christian mission field of the Roman Empire. This made Malta a significant Christian center in the Mediterranean. So there's a bridge of nations here: Polynesian, Roman, Hebrew. The influences intersect here, making Malta a crossroad island in the ancient world. So during the Middle Ages, Malta was fortified by the Knights of St. John, who made it a Christian stronghold against Islamic expansion. This continued the theme of Malta as a spiritual gatekeeper in the Mediterranean. Yeah. Now let's talk about Turkey, how they play a part in this. You're probably going, Turkey? What about Turkey? Okay. Turkey in the Greek world. This is before Rome. So Troy, 1200 BCE. This is where the legendary Trojan War took place in northwestern Turkey. Hey, why are you laughing? So there's some biblical connection in Turkey. Actually, there's a lot of it, and a lot of it is in the New Testament. You probably didn't even know or consider, didn't even think about it, none of that. So this story deeply shapes Greek identity. The Trojan War is one of the most famous conflicts of the ancient world. And it sits right at the intersection of history, legend, and spiritual symbolism. Let's break it down. Let's get to it. The Greeks versus the Trojans. The cause of this mystic war, the war actually began when Paris, a prince of Troy, abducted somebody's wife. Her name was Helen. Helen is the wife of Menelaus, king of Sparta. How you say his name?
Menelaus.
Yeah. Paris, come on, man. You know Paris gonna go get his boys. You know this. So Menelaus, the king of Sparta, had his wife taken from him, Helen. So that's what happened there. Of course, you know he gonna go call his brother. That's what he did. Hey, go and round up the men. Round up the men. How you say your name, bro?
Agamemnon.
Whoa, that's too much.
Agamemnon.
Hey, Agamemnon. So his brother was the king of Mycenae. So he gathered his boys. And so, yeah, he said, hey, get these Greek kings and these heroes together, man. I need somebody to go get Helen with me. Odyssey, Achilles, Ajax, get them. So we're going to sail on up to Troy to get my beloved Helen. That's mine. I got to get that. You got that? So thus the war was fueled by honor, love, and political alliance. Okay. But anyway, many historians believe the Trojan War, real conflict, around 1200 BC. See, Troy was a strategic city controlling the narrow waterways connecting the Aegean and the Black Seas. I've been on both of them. Yes, I have. I've been on both of them. So behind the romantic story of Helen may have been this struggle for trade dominance between Greek powers and Troy wealth. So, after 10 years of looking for Helen and fighting, Helen's gone, man. Paris got her. But anyway, so after 10 years, the Greeks supposedly won by using a Trojan horse, a massive wooden horse. Hiding inside were soldiers. The Trojans brought it into the city thinking it was a peace offering, leading to Troy's destruction. What? No. So if Commander Overthinker was in charge, you think this is how it went down, basically. I was like, who put this big wooden horse up in the middle of the city? Oh, okay, Private Joe Snuffy, Sergeant arrested. Platoon, company, get your weapons. Get ready to fire on my command. Boom, but one of them got away. Survivors. There was only one, according to legend. His name was Aeneas, a Trojan prince. He fled to Italy and became an ancestor of the Romans. What? Really? So Troy symbolized a powerful city undone by pride and deceit. But the war can be seen as a clash between civilizations, Europe and Asia. The Romans claimed descent from the Trojans through Aeneas, linking themselves to both the East and the West. So the Trojan War was fought between Greece and Troy, which is Antonello, which is modern day Turkey basically. Historically, it may have been a trade and a power route, while methodically it's centered on Helen's involvement. Spiritually, it became a foundational story for both Greek identity and Rome destiny. Well, we're going to take a quick break right here. We're going to come back shortly with some more powerful information. So stay tuned. Yeah. How you like that track? Huh? You like that? Ephesus, Smyrna, Miletus, and Halicarnassus. See, the Greeks had established these cities along the coast of Asia Minor. These cities became centers of philosophy, science, and trade. But The 6th through the 4th century, Persia ruled much of Turkey. It was ruled until Alexander the Great conquered it. Wow, Alexander. So in the Greek world, Turkey was the bridge between Europe and Asia, the place where East meets West. So that explains to me why when I was in Istanbul, the little tour guide said, this side of Turkey is Europe. The other side is Asia. I was like, okay, all right, thank you. Okay, now I know. Okay. So, when Rome rose to power, Asia Minor became part of the Roman Empire. Wow. So the kingdom of Pergamon, which is Western Turkey, was wielded to Rome, becoming the province of Asia. Pompey bought much of Antinola under Roman control. Asia Minor became a heartland of Roman wealth and culture. So the major cities that included Ephesus, Pergamon, and Antioch. Not Antioch, Tennessee, not Antioch, California. Okay? All right, well, anyway, of course you knew that. So Turkey was a Roman province full of Greek-speaking people, blending both Greek and the Roman world. Yeah. So, okay, this was the New Testament time. All right. So most of Paul's missionary journey took place in Turkey. Here go this Hebrew Israelite man walking through Turkey, teaching the laws and status of Yahweh, teaching the laws and status of the Torah, right? Right? So, okay. In Central Turkey, Paul letters to the Galatians and Galatia. Ephesus, which is in Western Turkey. Paul spent years here, and this is the letter to Ephesians. So, the 7 churches that they talk about in Revelations, guess where they at? They're in Turkey, Philadelphia, Colossae, Laodicea, Sardis, Thyatira, or whatever, Pergamon, Smyrna. These churches, they're all in Turkey. Look them up. Go look them up. So spiritually, Turkey was the launch pad for Christianity into Europe. You know that, did you? Being that it's a predominantly Muslim country now. So Turkey is a bridge between the Greece and Rome. The region carried Greek culture into Roman time. So Roman adopted the Greek architect, philosophy, and gods. There was a military bridge there. So whoever controlled Antinoly, whatever, controlled the trades and armies that moved between Europe and Asia. The spiritual crossroads from pagan temples to Paul churches. Turkey had both idolatry and early Christianity side by side. So, Constantinople, what a name, huh? That is modern day Istanbul right now. So in 330 CE, Emperor Constantine moved the Roman capital to here, renaming it Constantinople. So this made Turkey the center of the Eastern Roman Empire for over 1,000 years. The Council of Nicaea, it was in Western Turkey. What? Okay. The early church defined the Trinity and the key doctrines under the Roman rule. So after Rome fell in the West in 476 CE, Turkey carried on as the Eastern Roman Empire until the Ottoman Turks conquered it. In 1453, in comes Islam. More to follow on this topic. There's more to that story. So that explains why, when I was in Istanbul, they had these obelisks that were in the center of this big old plaza. The whole ground was cobblestone. So when you're walking up to it, I mean, it's huge. And the tour guide was saying, yeah, this is where we used to have like gladiator type events, horse racing. So to the right was big, huge mosque, and it was beautiful on the outside. And then because they wanted nobody on the inside, they was under construction. But as you walk up to where the elite stayed, that explains now why they had these big doors, like a big old fort there. This is beautiful. Went through the museum there, all kind of swords, clocks that were dated back in the 1100s, 1400s, and stuff like that. And yeah, I had a great time over there. So under Greece, Turkey was the cradle of philosophy, trade, and colonies. Under Rome, it became a wealthy province, the hub of early Christianity, and eventually the new capital for the empire, Constantinople. So spiritually, Turkey was the bridge where gospel spread from the Hebrew world into the Gentile world. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to double back to this Colosseum. So let's double back to Rome for a minute. So construction began on this Colosseum around 72 CE under the Emperor Vespasian, whatever his name is. Was it?
Vespasian.
Yeah, that dude right there. It was completed and inaugurated in 80 CE by his son, Titus. It's the same Titus who destroyed Jerusalem in 70 CE. Now, I was wondering if this is the same Titus that's in the New Testament. I gotta dig into that a little bit more. But anyway, this dude here,
Vespasian.
yeah, he wanted to erase Nero's legacy. Nero had built a giant palace on land seized from the Roman people after the Great Fire of Rome. Seems like there's always a lot of fires everywhere these guys go. Man. So the Colosseum was built on that site as a gift back to the people to win their loyalty. Politically, though, it was propaganda. It was a propaganda project, a monument to the Roman dominance, funded by their conquest. How was this stuff funded, man? Where did they get that money from? Huh? Okay. So the first Hebrew and Roman war, which was 66 through 70 CE, ended with the destruction of Jerusalem and the Second Temple in 70 CE. So the spoils from the temple of Yahweh, including gold, silver, and sacred treasures, they were paraded in Rome during his triumph, during Titus' triumph. So ancient sources and archaeologists' evidence confirm that these riches were used to finance the Colosseum construction. So, okay, well, who built this thing then? Tens of thousands of enslaved Hebrew Israelites and others from wars, captives, were forced into labor. Okay? These captives, along with other enslaved laborers from empires, they performed the grueling work, like hauling the stones, building the scaffolds, all of that, stuff like that. So it says that the Roman engineers and architects oversaw the design, but the physical backbone of the Colosseum creation was enslaved labor. Okay, that's what they say. So who designed this? The exact architect of the Colosseum is unknown. The Romans didn't always give credit to individuals for public work. These were considered imperial achievements, glorifying the emperor rather than a person. However, historians believe the design came from a team of imperial architects and engineers working under the emperor, Vespasian, and his son Titus from the Flavian dynasty, I guess I say. I guess that's it. So the Colosseum planning material and layout came from the office of the Romans Perfectus Fabrum. I don't read Roman, so anyway. Anyways, the chief works with architects trained in Greek and Egyptian's technique, adapted into this Roman style. Oh, look at there. You mean they stole this? So where did the idea come from? Because the Romans, they didn't invent the amphitheater, right? They did. They just didn't. Like I said, they got this idea from Greek geometry and the Egyptians. But see, there's a deeper layer. Roman engineers borrowed heavily from the engineering geniuses of conquered people, especially the Hebrew Israelites and the Egyptians, who had already mastered these big stones, how to move them, how to construct them, centuries earlier, building temples, aqueducts, fortresses. So many of the enslaved Israelites brought to Rome after 70 EC already had ancestral knowledge of sacred architect, temple designs, and measurement systems derived from the Solomon Temple and earlier Eastern tradition. So Rome harnesses this captive intelligence to serve the empire. Right? They forced them to do that. Coming to the bottom of the hour, I hope you enjoyed this information. There's more to share on this topic, so join me next week as we continue this, and there's more to follow. Hey, stay rooted in resilience, okay? Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Spotify. Like, share with your friends, share with the world, share with everybody. Thank you. Until next week. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of The Scepter of Zion. If something stirred your spirit, sparked a memory, or whispered truth into your soul, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, speak it, walk in it. We invite you to invite others into the conversation, into the unfolding. This is more than a podcast. It's a movement returning to the root and rising with the call. Until next time, hold the line, guard the flame, and never forget who you are. Because the kingdom isn't coming. It's already here and rising, one voice at a time.
You've been listening to The Scepter of Zion, a Kingdom of Shalom production. Subscribe, share, and join us as Zion rises again.